Hi, my name is Chloe Wood. This is my digital presentation over my research report for my AAS 490 self-development class. There were two questions in particular that we needed to pay attention to in our research report. Number one was, to what extent does openness to change correlate with workplace success? And number two was, to what degree do I practice openness to change quantitatively and qualitatively at the beginning and close of the culminating course in my undergraduate degree? Now, I had 4 different points in my research report explaining as to how openness to experience can connect with workplace success. Number one, openness to change can be connected to academic performance along with workplace success. There was a survey made by Thomas Gatzke and Benedict Hell entitled Openness in Post-Secondary Academic Performance, a Meta-Analysis of Facet, Aspect, and Dimension Level Correlations. Now, this particular article explained that it is more likely for a person that tests high in openness to change to be more likely to succeed academically, but specifically in post-secondary education. And I think that has a lot to do with how driven and how necessary it is for self-preservation and self-development. And I think that is why it is connected to academic performance. And oftentimes you will see that people that do very well in school, this is not every time, but oftentimes you can see that if they do well in school, then they will find a good job and will do well in their business profession. Now, my second point gathers from that, and it is because although many people test well in openness to change, it does not always mean that they will be successful in their workplace. And I provide this example. In my business where I work in a home health agency, there are 2 women that do the exact same job. One of these women has worked at this place for a very long time, and she is very unwilling to change. She likes the way things are. She likes doing the same thing over and over again with very little new technology to learn, new processes. She wants the concept to stay the same and her daily work to stay the same. She does not do well at all with change. But when she has to change, when she is required to do it because of her job, and she'll do so successfully, she will do well, she will learn it, and she'll continue to grow. She just does not like to change. She is not open whatsoever to change. There's another woman with the exact same job, but she's the complete opposite. She is willing to change. She's an older woman, just started this job recently, and is willing to learn something new, do something different, and every time something is hurled at her, she keeps a good spirit and is always willing to learn, but she struggles. So she has a lot of problems learning the new concepts, and it's not because she doesn't want to. So although in Thomas Gatzke and Benedict Hell's survey there were positive connections to academic success, workplace success, that does not mean that that is how it's always going to be. Now, also, an individual does not stop growing. They do not stop being open to change at a certain time in their life. They're constantly changing. Now, it was shown in a survey by Schwab titled Openness to Experience and Cultural Openness Transactions Across a Lifespan. He pointed out that often when you do become older, middle-aged, or older than that, that you're less likely to be more open to change, but that does not mean you cannot be. And I think a common misconception is that people turn 21 and they think that that's it, that I'm the person that I'm supposed to be, that I'm not going to change, and that's not true, because in this survey provided by Schwab et al., they explained that you gather how you see life from your experiences. And so when you gain an experience, you apply that to your life, and then you apply it to your outlook, your belief system and how you think the world works and how you are open to different things. And that's all through experience. So you do not stop experiencing things when you turn 21, when you turn 25. You're constantly experiencing things for the rest of your life, and therefore you are still changing. Lastly, Park provided a survey titled The Influences of Openness to Change, Knowledge Sharing Intention, and Knowledge Creation Practice on Employees' Creativity in the Korean Public Sector Context. Now, this survey concluded that openness to change is also connected to creativity. Now, of course, once again, it is not 100% sure that you will be open to change and you will be creative, but it is a very high correlation in that people that are more creative, more willing to give their ideas that they come up with, they are more likely to be successful in their workplace, which makes sense. If you're a team player, you're going to do better where you work. Now, used to collect quantitative data within this research report, we used the Big Five personality inventory. This is mine. Now, it explains openness to experience. The darker column is going to be my first test, and the lighter column is going to be my second test at the end of the semester. And you notice that I did not stay steadily testing on any of the different sections. Each one changed. Some of them dropped and some of them raised. And whether or not this can be considered a positive or negative outcome, I think it's important to know that I have changed, that I have thought about differently. Imagination, it says that I've gone down. Artistic interests, I've gone down. Depth of emotions, I've gone down. Willingness of experience, I seem to have gone up. Intellectual curiosity, I've gone down. Tolerance for diversity, I've come up. And I think that's important to know because those were the ones that I tested lowest on, but I have seen a change. And I think a lot of it is because I was conscious of, since we are studying throughout this semester, openness to change, I was constantly conscious of this and trying to be better at it. Now, our qualitative data is from our course discussions and from our response assignments that we were required to do throughout the semester, and these were very helpful, especially going back to look at them while I was doing my research report, because I realized that there was a lot of self-development and self-reflection that was required in these discussions and responses, and I could see my thought process and how it grew throughout the semester to be more open after I learned and after I studied. So to what extent does openness to change correlate with workplace statistics? I think it is positive. I think it is a positive correlation, but there is still negative. And I think that is important to know, that although it does test high and it is more likely for someone to test high in openness to change to be more successful in their workplace, that does not mean that you will not be successful if you are not. And to what degree do I practice openness to change from the beginning and end of the semester? I think I have grown in that. And like I said earlier, it was because I was cognizant, because I knew that this is what I'm studying, and I would stop myself and say, I need to be more thoughtful of this idea, or I need to be more open to this belief, or at least take the time to understand it from somebody else rather than just having my own ideas and keeping them without being open to anything else. And I think that made a big difference, is that I personally made that application to my life. So professionally, I know at first when I was given the lower score, I was worried because I thought, oh no, I will not be able to be successful in my workplace because I scored low on this, because I'm not open to change. And then I got to thinking, the studies that I used in my research report by Thomas Gatzka, Benedict Hall, and by Park explain that creativity can be connected to openness to change, that academic success can be connected to openness to change, and I am both creative and I have done well academically. So just because I tested low in openness to change in this survey does not particularly mean that I will fail. And I think that needs to be explored further. I think that is something that people need to know, is that just because you test low in openness to change does not mean that you cannot be successful. You can do well in your workplace if you put your mind to it. Now, you might be more likely to be a leader or in a position of power if you are open to change, but still, that does not mean that you have to be. So I think it is important to know that although you might not be open to change, that does not mean that you are a failure. And overall, that research seemed positive towards the connection, but nevertheless, and I do think it is important to continue that and to grow in that, but that does not mean that you will fail if you do not test high. So, thank you.